Okay, now we'll see the next question. So this was question number 6. Now let's see question number 7. So question number 7 is, write a procedure to generate salary statistics. It should include statistics like N, NMIS, range, min, max and mean. Further classify it based on gender only, and after that include country also. So 3 tasks we need to implement in this particular assignment. We have to first of all compute these statistics like N, which represents number of non-missing values, NMIS, which represent number of missing values, then range, which represents the difference between minimum and the maximum analysis variable value. Minimum is representing the minimum value, max is maximum, and mean is the average. And then after we need to classify this based on gender. And then afterwards we'll add one more variable called as country. So we'll have this classification based on gender as well as country. So first we'll start with the simple task of computing the statistics, and then we'll add classification to it. So let's see. So I say, so if you remember, we have covered a procedure called as proc means, which is used to generate such statistics in SAS environment. So you can say proc means data is equal to imart dot cells, and then you say run and specify the analysis variable. So we can say here var followed by the analysis variable, that is salary. If you see the default statistics generated by proc means, so by default proc means computes N, which represents number of non-missing salaries in this case, mean, which is representing the average salary, standard deviation, which is representing the standard deviation of the salary, minimum is this minimum value, and maximum is this maximum salary. Now if you remember and try to recollect, we were asked to compute N, NMIS, minimum, maximum and mean. So we wanted different set of statistics than what is displayed in our output window. So what you need to do in your proc means is you request for the statistics that you want to generate. So here you can explicitly write N, NMIS, min, then I say max and range. So you need to specify these keywords explicitly. So hope this is matching with the requirement. N, NMIS, range, min, max and mean. So there is one more. They want mean also. So N, NMIS, min, max, mean and range. Now if I execute this proc means once again, now if you see, the statistics are different. So it is writing N, which is number of non-missing salaries, NMIS. So you have 165 observations, and in all 165 observations, all salary values are present. So N is 165, meaning there is nothing missing. NMIS is 0, minimum is 22,710, maximum is 243,190, mean is this 31,160, and range is this particular value. So these are the 6 statistics which are written to my output window. Now let's do some classification. So if you see, the statistics are computed on overall data. Suppose I want this statistics to appear based on gender. So I want to understand how many salaries are present and how many are missing, and what is the minimum salary, what is the maximum salary, what is the average salary, what is the difference between lowest and highest salary for both the genders, unique genders that I have, that is male and female. So you need to add a classification variable now. You need to say here class followed by the variable based on which you want to do this classification. So you need to say class and then gender. So now if you see, I'm getting 2 rows. First is for the female gender and second is for male gender. So if you see, for female gender, it is displaying the total number of observations as 68. Number of observations which are present are 68. So these numbers are representing basically the salary information. So you have total 68 salaries, all 68 salaries are present, no salary is missing. This is the minimum salary for female gender, this is the maximum salary, this is the average salary for female gender, and this is the difference between lowest and highest salary, difference between minimum and maximum. And similar information you see for the other gender, that is M. So for male it is 97 total number of observations, all 97 are present, NMIS is 0, minimum is this, maximum is this is the average salary, and this is the difference between lowest and highest salary. Now we'll do one thing before we add the second classification variable and see this information based on country and gender both. Let's do one quick example where we'll delete one of the salary values just to conclude that this NMIS is representing number of missing salaries. So I'll go to my data set, I click Explorer and I open cells data set, and let me delete one of the salary values. Say for example, this salary of this employee Wilson, which is 26,810, let me edit this and make it 0. So I make this as I delete the salary value and write 0 here, and then I save this data set. So I made one of the salary values 0. Now I close this, clear this output window, the log window, and execute this proc mins once again. So now if you see, I need to check if my changes were saved. So this salary is 0. Not 0. We need to make it, because that NMIS was representing not those salaries which are 0, but those salaries which are not present only. So it is considering 0 as a value. So you need to write missing, a symbol which represents numeric missing value instead of 0. So you have to say here, you'll have to write a period instead of 0. This period represents a missing value in SAS and not 0. So I save this close this view table, clear this output window and this log window. Now let's execute this proc means once again and see if nmiss is capturing that missing salary. So now if you see, if you remember, we deleted one of the female's salary. So now if you see, this NOBS is showing total number of observations for female as 68, where this n value, which represents number of non-missing salaries, is 67 and number of missing salaries is 1. This is minimum, this is maximum, this is the mean salary, and this is the range of the salary, which is representing difference between minimum and maximum salary. And then you have the second row for the male gender, where you have total 97 male observations and all 97 are present. Now if we add one more variable, say country, if you add one more variable country, now this would be country wise gender information. So you are going to get, if you remember, we had two unique countries in our data set, that is EU and US. So now you are going to get this female and male information for first country EU, and then you are going to get for the second country US. So you are going to get total 4 rows in your output, 4 observations in your output. I execute this. So now if you see, earlier it was displaying female first when we had only gender as our group variable, and now when we added country and then gender, so when we added a group variable and then a subgroup variable, it is writing AU first. Reason it was writing F first earlier and AU now is when you write, when you do such classifications, by default those classification keywords sort your data set in ascending order. That was the reason why when you said class, F class based on gender, so female gender was coming first and then the male gender. And now when you are saying country first Australia is displayed and then United States. So now if you see, this is what my output. So I am getting this Australia, female, total number of observations 27. Total number of present salaries 26, missing salary 1, minimum salary 25,185, maximum salary 3890, mean of salary is 27,736 and range is 5705. And then you are getting another row for Australia representing the male information, and similar information is shown for US as well. So for US, getting first the the female information, where it's writing that there are 41 total number of females in US. All 41 salaries are present, nothing is missing. Minimum salary is 25,390, maximum is 83,505. Mean is this, range is this, and similar information is displayed for the male gender. So this is how proc means classifies your data when you specify multiple variables, meaning when you specify a group and then followed by subgroups. So hope this was clear to you. Now let's move on to the next assignment. Now our next assignment, that is 8th assignment, is write a procedure to count number of employees from Australia and United States, and then further hide cumulative column from the report. So you need to first create a procedure to count the number of employees from Australia and United States, and then you have to hide this cumulative column that appears in your report. So let's see. So we have a procedure called as proc freq, which is used to generate a one-way or n-way frequency table. So if you recollect, this is some option that we covered in one of our previous sessions, and this was how its syntax goes. So I say proc frequency data is equal to, I say mart dot cells, proc frequency data is equal to mart dot cells, and then I say tables, proc frequency data is equal to mart dot cells, and then tables, followed by the variable for which you want to generate this frequency table. So I say tables country, and then I say run. So this is what I'm getting as my frequency table, as you see. So I'm getting Australia 63, US 102, meaning there are total 63 employees in Australia and there are 102 in United States. This is the percent of these numbers. So 63 of 102 is 38.18%, and 102 is 61.82% of the entire total. Then you see cumulative percent and cumulative frequency and cumulative percent. If you remember, in our assignment we were asked to hide the cumulative columns. So the assignment said hide the cumulative column from the report. We have a keyword called as no cumulative, which is used to hide the cumulative from your report or the output window. This is how you use it. You just say no cumulative. So you just need to say tables country / no count. This is going to display you only frequency and percentage values. So if you see, this is displaying country, frequency and percent value. So these are your number of employees from each of the countries, and these are their respective percentage values. So this is the solution for the 8th question of our assignment. Now let's see the next one. So next question is, write a procedure to display only employee ID, first name, gender and country of those employees whose job title contains REP. So we need to figure out all those job titles that contains this keyword REP in their job titles. So let's see the solution for this assignment. So I say proc print data is equal to imart dot cells. Let's first check this data set. So this is what we have in our data set. These are your job title values. So you have job title values as sales representative 1, sales representative 2, sales representative 3, 4. Then you have sales managers. And at the end of this data set, if you see, you have some job titles by the name Chief Sales Officer and so on. So these are the job title values that you have. Now let's modify this procedure in such a way that in our report we are getting only the sales representative 1 people, or we are getting only those designations or job titles that contains REP as part of their title. For example, we have this sales representative 1, we have sales representative 2, we have sales representative 3, we have sales representative 4, and then we have senior sales manager and chief sales officer and all. So I want to display the information of only those people for whom the job title contains REP as part of its name. So I say where job title contains REP. As of now, if you see, there are 165 observations, but the moment I write this constraint where I say show me only those job titles that contains REP as part of their title, this number is going to reduce. So now if you see, it's displaying only 159 observations. So only in 159 observations you have this REP word present. So now if you see, so we had this REP in sales representative 1, sales representative 2, sales representative 3 and sales representative 4. And then we had some other designations as sales manager and senior sales manager and chief sales officer. So those are the only job titles which does not contain REP. Otherwise we have this REP present in sales representative 1, 2, 3 as well as 4, and this is what it is fetching from those, for those job titles. You can also achieve this with the help of the equivalent contains operator called as question mark. So I can also say job title question mark REP. This means show me all those job titles that contains REP as part of their name. So I execute this. And if you see, I'm getting the same number of observations and same output. So either you write contains keyword or you can write the equivalent operator for contains, which is question mark. You can also achieve the same solution for this particular task. So instead of using contains keyword or the equivalent operator question mark, you can also use this operator like, where you can say where job title like REP dot. You need to say, so there is no job title which has only REP as part of its job title name. So you'll have to write percent. So REP is a word which is appearing in between the job title. So you have to say where job title like percent REP percent. And now if I execute this, I'm going to get an output similar to my previous results or previous output which I generated using contains and its equivalent operator question mark. So I execute this, and if you see, I'm again getting those 159 observations and only those job titles that contains this word REP in them. Please remember, this keyword that you have written here, these letters that you have written here, character constants that you have written here, are strictly case sensitive. So if I check for small REP, then this is not going to fetch me anything. in SAS, character constants are strictly case sensitive. So there is nothing in your job title which is in this particular format, where R is small case and then REP. So this is going to fetch you 0 observations. So as you see, there is no observation that has satisfied your this particular criteria. So ensure that you specify R in capital so that it fetches you the job titles that contains REP as part of their name. So this was the solution for our question number 9. Now let's see the next question, which is the last question of this assignment, where we are asked to write a proc print to compute sum of salary and display it at the end of salary column. If the observation is splitting in multiple lines, then it should start with employee ID instead of observation number. So that's our next challenge or next task. Let's see the solution for that task. So we need to say proc print data is equal to imart.cells run. Let's first see the default output. So if you see this result set, this output window, it's writing 165 observation. Now what I want at the end of this salary variable, I want to write the sum of salary. So I want to write the sum of salary for this column salary or this variable salary. So I just say here sum salary. This is going to compute sum of salary for this particular variable, and that will be written at the end of this variable or at the end of this column. So if you see in salary variable, this is what I'm getting as the sum value. Okay, so I'm getting the sum value as 51,14,610. This is the sum of salary. Now if you see in this particular case, it is able to write all my variables in the same row. But in case if you see your variables getting splitted and displayed in the next row because of the space constraint, we have a keyword called as ID by which we can format our output. Because what happens if you have, let's say, 10 variables and say SAS is writing the observation number and then in front of that it is writing the details of that particular observation, but because of the space constraint the last two variables are jumping to the next row. Now in that particular case, when SAS shows the continuity of that particular observation, it again repeats that observation number, which at times creates a confusion. For example, it will write observation number 1 and then it will write the variables of this particular observation. For example, I have say employee ID, then I have first name, then I have last name, then I have say country, then I have gender, I have salary, then I have job title, then I have birth date, and then I have hire date. Let's say SAS is unable to fit all my variables in one row. So what it does, say for example, till here it is able to display my variables properly till birth date, and it is not able to display higher date horizontally in one view. So it is splitting this, and it will write, so below this variables you will see the information written for those respective variables, and this higher date will go to the next row, and this is how it will be displayed. So after writing these values, employee ID, first name, last name, country, gender, salary, job title, birth date, it is going to show you this higher date in next row, and below that higher date the corresponding higher date will be written. At times this creates confusion because this row is also numbered as 1 and this row is also numbered as 1. So what you can do, you can use a keyword called as ID, and instead of displaying the observations based on observation number, you can display them employee ID wise, which makes more sense and it will look more meaningful. And this is how we do it in SAS. You can say here ID followed by this keyword employee ID. Now let's see the effect of writing ID on our output. So now if you see this, so instead of writing your observations based on observation number, now SAS is writing these observations based on employee ID. So it is employee ID wise, not observation wise. And this way you can make your output more descriptive and meaningful. So this completes all our assignments. Hope this was helpful to you, and tomorrow if you get such requirements in production, you'll be able to meet those requirements. So in this first assignment, we implemented certain concepts that we covered in base SAS and not all concepts. We have two more sets of assignments where we have a few more questions that we are going to discuss shortly. So this is the solution for all 10 questions that you had in the previous assignment.